Welcome back. It's the season for giving, but this year, with global economies in crisis, we're looking at how to give charitably, even when our own resources might be tight. Dr. Ron Sider knows a thing or two about this subject. A best-selling author and activist, he's made a conscious choice to lead a simple life in order to be able to give generously. I sat with him recently to ask why.
Well, it's certainly the case that many in the West are going to have less money. We're going to have less resources, so we'll be tempted to give substantially less to empower poor people around the world.
Tell me why that is my problem, that so many have less than I do.
Well, I think that there's a general sense that somehow we're all human beings. We're all, in some sense, part of one family. Now, Christian faith says explicitly that that's the case, that we all have one Father, and that in a very real sense, poverty and economic injustice is a family affair, because it's my brothers and sisters in other countries who are desperately hungry, who can't get a minimal operation so that they can have a healthy life. You know, one can live quite modestly and even on a very middle income salary, give very generously.
So Ron, tell me how you managed that situation, because your income increased dramatically when you became a best-selling author many times over, but you didn't change how much you consumed. Why?
Because I felt, as a Christian, that I really had to take seriously what the Bible says about God's special concern for the poor. The Bible says that God measures societies by what they do to the poor.
So Christmas is coming. Give us some practical tips to being generous.
We need to decide we'll spend less on ourselves so we can share more with others. Or as a Catholic sister said, live more simply so that others may simply live. And I think Christmas is one of the important times to do that.
What are you going to do about it, Ron? You've got little grandchildren.
Our daughter-in-law has proposed that we not give Christmas presents to each other in the family, except for the grandchildren, some books. So she's proposing that we do something dramatic in that way, partly because she wants to teach their children that, in fact, Christmas is not about gifts and material things. It's about deeper meanings, about caring for others, about our deepest religious beliefs.
Closed captioning provided by Duca Financial Services Credit Union. Discover more affordable banking at duca.com.
Welcome back. It's Christmas, and we're exploring whether generosity declines when times are tough. But what about all year long? Are there practical steps we can take to be able to give more generously? We're back with Ron Sider.
I think, for starters, we ought to figure out as individuals how we can spend a little time with poor, hurting people. If you're willing to spend an hour or two tutoring a poor kid, or working with an elderly person, or somehow getting in touch personally, experientially with poverty, that's going to change your heart and make a difference. But then you ought to be giving regularly. And if you sit down, do your New Year's resolution and really mean it and say, this next year, I'm going to spend less on myself, I'm going to give more. Every month we're going to be careful and responsible and systematic about giving, and that's all part of it. One does need to get involved enough, research and organization enough, so that you know it's responsible, it's doing good work. I mean, I've done that. I know, for example, that Opportunity International is doing absolutely superb work in giving tiny loans to poor people around the world. So you need to do some research. You need to make sure that, in fact, it's reliable, that its board is responsible, that it doesn't spend too much money on overhead and so on. But that's quite possible.
So just what might it look like to do what Dr. Sider suggests? Well, perhaps not as glamorous as many would want, but sometimes society's true heroes go under the radar. Today, we wanted to introduce you to one such individual. Ricky Ratliff brings us this report.
How you doing, my friend?
Bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs? You want some juice and some water?
The face of the Salvation Army is a familiar one. Red shield, bell ringers, Christmas kettles. On the hunt to find generosity personified in tough times, and we found it in the faces of Rob Hardy and his breakfast ministry team.
This morning we have juice and water. We have what is called Asian Delights. This is another donation from a donut company, okay? And on the other side we have toast with cheese, and we have porridge this morning, and we have coffee, and I believe that's all.
Up at 3 in the morning, this Salvation Army team works to feed Toronto's homeless 365 days a year. It's like Meals on Wheels with love, and it's free. What kind of individuals will we see out that will be needing your services here?
You will see people with mental illness. You will see people with drug addictions. You will see just everyday people that are down on their luck, not wanting to go into a shelter system, and just trying to make it on their own.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think this ministry is so necessary to this area here?
We give hope, okay? That's what we do. But this breakfast ministry as well sustains life for a day, okay? Unfortunately, this year we've found 2 people that have died, and went to wake them up, and they were dead. And that's what we try to do, is to stop that, okay? By going out in the morning, waking people up, making sure they're okay, trying to talk with them. The staff know their names, okay? They know their faces, they know their stories, okay? It may take 2 to 3 years to move someone forward, okay? But that's what we do, sustain life for a day until we can move that person into a better place.
Is this more than breakfast then?
This is a ministry, okay? Some people might say it's a breakfast van, it's a feeding program, okay? This is the breakfast ministry. My staff would not sit back and say that all we do is feed. We feed souls.